Good morning, everybody. Good morning and Hatzlacha Rabbah to everybody that's here now. Shalom. Welcome to people who are in Torah anytime and those of you us in the YouTube channel. And we can just start already. We're Amud Yomi, Kiddushin, Daf Kaf Ches, Amud Beis. And the topic that we are now exploring is the topic of how does one explain the Mishnah, very esoteric, difficult Mishnah to understand. The Mishnah spoke about kinyan of Chalipin, so it seems like. And the Mishnah started off by saying, I'm just reading the Mishnah, although we're not in the Mishnah now. We are in Amud Beis, we are in the sixth line from the top of the page, or seventh line, Hanicha. The line starts with the word Hanicha l'Rav Sheshes. However, as I said, let's quickly look at the Mishnah. The Mishnah said something very seemingly funny. The Mishnah at the end of the previous Amud, flip back to the previous Amud, it says in the Mishnah, Kol anas domim be'acher, kevan shazoch hazen ischav ze b'chalipov. Whatever can be estimated as money for something else, not so clear what the Mishnah means, then once you gave that item to your friend in return for something, then the Chalipin works. In other words, Kin and Chalipin seems to be working with this item called Nase Domim Ba'acher. What's Nase Domim Ba'acher? Either it means money, and you're telling me that the coin itself can be used as the item of Kin and Chalipin. What's Kin and Chalipin? Kinyan of switching, swapping. And if you switched money symbolically, you use the money as if it was a shoe, right? And the Torah says that you give a shoe in Megillas Rus. Giving the money is like giving a shoe. It's a symbolic act of I gave something of mine. Now I own what's in your garage, what's in your house, or the field of yours is owned by me because I did that symbolic act. Later on, I'll have to pay you. Okay, so that's good. But then what's the end of the Mishnah saying? Keitzad ichlif shor b'poro chamor b'shor. Shor b'poro chamor b'shor. That's not money. These are animals, right? A cow for a bull, or a bull for a donkey. So what are you talking about? And then it says, Zochen ischav ze b'chalipov, right? So we had two answers. Yeah. Answer number one, we wanted to say, Nechinami, we're talking here about matbeya, as well as also payros, also items that are not matbeya, both matbeya, and items that are not kalim. What's animal? What's an animal? An animal is not a kli. A shor and chamo, or as the Gemara says, even better, it can be explained as the flesh of the poro. We're talking about veal, about a steak. I gave you a steak, and then in return, I want you to give me a few bottles of drink, let's say, wine, let's say. Yeah, once I gave you the steak, done deal. The wine in your cellar belongs to me. We spoke about money. There are two answers. Either the Mishnah spoke about money as well as peros, or another pshat, another more crucial change. Kol nasadomim doesn't mean money. Nasadomim, on the contrary, means something that you evaluate with money. The Mishnah only spoke about things that are not coins or money. The Mishnah only spoke about chalipin, regular chalipin, telling me that chalipin doesn't have to be bekli. Chalipin can also be done with fruit, with things that are perishables, edible things, such as fruit, such as flesh, such as animals are not edible, but also they're not kalim. Anything that's not a kli, although it's not a kli, and although the item mentioned in Megillas Rus is a nal, is a shoe, we broaden our horizons and we say, no, any item except for money, let's say is treif, is out of the business, any item, even perishable, cheap thing, can also be used as the item that you give in order to do that symbolic giving, and now the other item which you want to acquire in return becomes automatically yours. That's what we said, and that was fine and dandy and good. So that's what Mishnah is telling me. In short, let's just summarize. Our Mishnah is telling me, although it says in Megillas Rus Nal is a shoe, so maybe you need a shoe dafka, not dafka a shoe. Can be a kerchief or a cup or a kippa or glasses or a tie, but maybe only items that are kalim. Says the Mishnah, no. Pears are also good. You can give him a cluster of grapes. The grapes are going to be eaten in 5 minutes. It's not as stable as a kli. Nishkefelach. When the Novi, when the Ksuvim said Nal, it meant Nal or anything else that's valuable with money. It can be evaluated with money. All very nice. Here comes a question. Hanicha, frag the Gemore. Line starts with the word hanicha. It's about 6 or so lines from the top of the page. Kiddushin chaf. Sorry for that. Kiddushin kaf ches amud beis. Hanicha l'Rav Sheshes. That's good. That's fine. That's nicha. That's amazing. That's nice. According to Rav Sheshes, the Omer Peros Avdi Chalipin. According to Rav Sheshes, Peros, they can be the item that creates Chalipin. I gave you some grapes. I gave you flesh. I gave you frozen fish. That too can be Chalipin. Beautiful. And now whatever is in your hands is automatically mine. Except for they have to pay. That's a different story. Ela Rav Nachman Domar Peros lo yavdi Chalipin. According to Rav Nachman, who said that Peros cannot be Chalipin, Michael Meimer. That's a very, very, very easy question. Rav Nachman outright said in the Gemara in Bov Metzia, around there, Daf Mem Zayin, I think, Daf Mem Zayin, it says there that Rav Nachman says, no, I think a shoe is a shoe is a shoe, and not fruit. Fruit are not as they're not kalim, and it has to be something more significant, such as a kli. And therefore, what is going to say? The Mishnah is simply talking against Rav Nachman. Achika Omar, this is where we left off yesterday, by the way. This is exactly where we left off yesterday. This is what the Mishnah says according to Rav Nachman. Rav Nachman has a whole different explanation, translation even for the Mishnah. This is what it says. It says Rav Nachman like this. Yesh domim shehen kechalipin. When we said in the Mishnah those interesting words, when we said in the Mishnah, kol shenase domim be'acher, what's kol anase domim be'acher? You know what it means? Sometimes money serves like chalipin. Sometimes kinyan kesef is as good as kinyan chalipin. Soon we're going to explain. Keitzad, how is that? Hichlif dmei shor beporo, or dmei chamor beshor. A person switched the money's worth, the value of a shor, of an ox with a cow, or the value, the money of a donkey with a shor. Explains Rashi. Let me explain this to you with my own words. B'siyata d'shmaya. It's not so hard as you may think. Just concentrate. Reuven and Shimon. Let's get very classy with our names. Classical Reuven and Shimon. Okay. Reuven has a shor. Reuven has a shor to sell. Now, there is nothing else besides one item here in the scene. Imagine yourself the scene of crime, the scene of Kinyan. Reuven has a shor for sale, worth 10,000 shekels. Very nice. He wants to sell the shor, all good. He sells it to Shimon. How does he want to sell it to Shimon? How do you acquire shor? Anybody? Halachically. Mashicha, I'm surrounded with scholars. Yeah. So now he does Mashicha. So Shimon is the buyer, Reuven the seller, Shimon the buyer. Now, so Shimon pulls the shor, yeah, worth 10,000, and now it's very clear that it's his shor, belonging now to Shimon. And what about the money? I'm a trustworthy guy. I'll pay you 10,000 shekels tomorrow. There are Adim, you know, I'm committed. I'll give you 10,000 shekels tomorrow. I owe you 10,000 shekels. Okay. The morning after, wakes up Mr. Seller, the Reuven the seller. His shor is not there. He's missing some animal, you know, around it. He wants a pet. So now he knows that he wants to buy a cow. He wants to buy a cow. Yeah, a shor doesn't have milk. He wants a cow. He wants fresh milk for the coffee every day. So now he wants a cow. And he says, now, who owes money to who? Shimon owes Reuven 10,000, right? For the shor of yesterday. Says Reuven to Shimon, Shimele, hey, is this cow of yours for sale? Says Shimon, yes, she's for sale. And how much did she go for? You won't believe it, 10,000. Hey, isn't it a tremendous case of hashgacha pratis? So in other words, you owe me 10,000 shekels for what? For the purchase of the shor. You know what? Let's change it. You owe me 10,000 instead of 10,000 cash. I don't need cash. Instead of that, give me your cow, which is 10,000. Yeah. And now the cow belongs to who? The cow belongs to Reuven without Reuven pulling it. Ooh. Now the cow, let's focus on the cow, not on the shor. The shor was acquired already. The shor Mashiach, that's old hats. The Chiddush here is, listen what's happening here. The etzem, the cow, how did Reuven buy the cow really? Reuven, if you really look at which kinyan did Reuven do? No Mashiach, no Mesira, not Agba. Oh, it's a cow. Yeah, nothing of kinyon, of regular classical kinyonim of metaltelin of animals happened here. And yet, if I say that cow is mine because the 10,000 shekels you owe me, I'm erasing the debt, and in return, I want the cow. I want the cow instead of the 10,000 because it's worth 10,000. The cow now belongs to who? He belongs to Reuven without Reuven spending a dime. I mean, of course, he's spending a dime by erasing the debt. Without Reuven lifting a finger, Reuven, there's no Mashiach, no Masir, no Agbo. And that's a big Kiddush. Because classically, normally we say that in order to acquire an animal or any metaltelin, kesef is not koine. Everybody in this room knows very well, nobody begins to think otherwise, of course, that metaltelin are not acquired with money. There are two reasons why. We discussed and we'll discuss it again, but we know that metaltelin are not nikne with kesef. And yet this cow is nikne bekesef because erasing a debt is really kesef. Why is that? Oh, and now according to Rav Nachman, this is what the Mishnah is telling us. Wow. The Mishnah is telling me that kol hanase domim be'acher is money. We are talking here about money. Our Mishnah talks about a very unique case where money is money. Nase domim be'acher is domim, money. And the Mishnah is telling me sometimes money can work to applies, helps, is valid. It's a valid kin of the metaltelin. Ketzad ichlif shor b'paro chamor b'shor. Also, the Mishnah reads very nicely now. When you switch to shor b'chamor, but instead of switching, how did you switch to shor b'chamor? It wasn't like you switched your cow for my donkey directly. No, originally it was my shor separately, and now you owe money. Ad kana kofa aleph. That was Sunday. That was yesterday. Now comes a new story. We're converting the money into an animal, which is worth the same amount of money. That's a kinyan kesef. And kinyan kesef works even though it's metaltelin. And the question is, why? My timer. Didn't we all learn about 10 times already, if not 20 times, that kesef is not koine metaltelin? And we're going to see the reason again soon. How can you all of a sudden say that in this specific case, the money does acquire metaltelin? Last time I checked, Torah and Shor are very metaltel. They walk around, yeah? Answers the Gemara. As we know, the reason why metaltelin are not acquired bekesef is mechlokes Rabbi Yochanan and Rish Lakish. And now Rav Nachman believes like Rabbi Yochanan. What did Rabbi Yochanan say? The Omar Dvar Torah Mois Koinos. That's a famous Rabbi Yochanan. Dvar Torah Mois Koinos, which means midoraisa money does buy you metaltelin. Midoraisa din Torah, the money is koine metaltelin. Yes. Umatam Omru. Why did they? Who's they? Why did they change the law of the Torah? Chazal, Chachamim, Rabbanon. Why did Chazal change things around? Umatam Omru Meshicha Koino. Why is it that Chazal changed it around and they said no? Instead of money being koine, we really want Meshicha to be koine. You only koine the metaltel item when it's in your own hands when you pulled it. Why? We saw that in Vav Metzia, around there, Memvov Memzain, Gzera Shema Yomer Loi, there's a Gzera that the seller will tell the buyer, Nisrefu Chitecha Ba'aliyah, classy. There is a chashash like that, a concern. If I, let's say, I prepaid someone for the chitim, for the wheat. Yeah, you want wheat, there's no wheat from Ukraine. So now what? You want to buy wheat from Shmerel Barrel. So now you tell him, I'll buy some of your wheat for 10,000 shekels. Now the wheat is still in his storage room. Midoraisa, once I prepaid, it's not called prepaying. I paid him the 10,000. Why did it say prepay? Because the chitim, the wheat, is still in his granary, in his aliyah, in his attic, in his storage room. He's sleeping very nicely, and all of a sudden starts fire in the attic, lo leinu, and the fire is not hazardous for him for whichever reason. The fire only hosts the chitim of the buyer, and he turns on the other side. It's cold outside now. It's Chodesh Teves, and it's very cozy, and he doesn't feel like really extinguishing the fire. Why? Because he's losing nothing by the other guy's chitim being nisraf. Why? Because Lamaisa, you owe me 10,000 shekels. You can't change the deal. Neither I can change the deal. So even if they burn, you still owe me the money. Because I'm not your shomer. There's no automatic shmira. I'm not your shomer. It wasn't mekabel shmira. So Mimela, I'm not your shomer. What happens if the chitim burnt? It's kilo the burnt in your house. Midoraisa. You paid the money. They belong to you. If your chitim burnt, you're taflak. Now that's reason number one. The other reason is whenever we say that kinyan was done, means that no side can return. Meaning, let's say those chitim tomorrow, instead of 10,000, It'll be 12 or 13,000. Now the seller would want to regret the sale, but he can't regret the sale because the money already set it in stone. The money was a point of no return. So it says, why should I bother to make sure that the chitim survive? Anyhow, I won't be able, although I saw online that soon the chitim's price will go up. But anyhow, I'm stuck with this 10,000 foolish money. Mainly, he has no interest or fear. He has no motive whatsoever to look after the chitim. That's why Chachamim made a gezerah. What's the gezerah? They made the gezerah as follows. They say, it's not over till it's over. Even though the buyer gave you the money already, only when he's going to pull the chitim, then they'll be his. And up until then, both sides can regret. If both sides can regret, then we say, first of all, so if they burn, first of all, the buyer will scream at the seller. What do you mean? What do you mean? Those chitim are still yours, and I prepaid you. Why didn't you look after them? And he has his own interest to look after the chitim. Why? Because if the chitim price will go up, right, he'll be able to be choizer. He wants to conserve them and save them for his own good reason, not because he's a shomer, for his own interest, because maybe tomorrow they'll go up in price, and he will be able still to change the deal, right? And to say, no, I don't want 10, I want 13, because it's not yet a done deal. That's what Chachamim said. It's not yet a done deal until there's Mashiach of the chitim. So what does that have to do with us? Comes the Gemara and tells me, Milsa de shchiach gozu barabonon. Milsa de lo shchiach lo gozu barabonon. This is a rule all over Shas. Something that is common, a common situation, shachiach, chazal or goizer. Something that is not common, chazal were not goizer. That's always the rule. Situations that are very weird and funny and out of the way. I also say this to you sometimes when you ask me questions. All kinds of out of the way situations, outlandish situations. Chazal on purpose were not goizer. Chazal speak to the normal run of the mill kind of person. And therefore, this situation of the shor and the para, that money was already owed before, and I want now to buy an item from you, and you're my Baal Choiv, and I'm erasing the debt in return of the thing, relative to all the purchases in the world, it's very rare. Most cases, when you purchase something from the supermarket, online, from your friend, you pay the money straight away, right? You want to buy my tie, give me 30 shekels, I'll give you the tie. That's normally it works. It's very rare that the guy owes him exactly this amount of money. Okay, let's erase your debt, and in return, sell me your cow. It happens, but it's very rare. And therefore, here, Chachamim are not goizer. If Chachamim are not goizer, we're back to square doraisa, back to square one, din doraisa, din Torah, and with doraisa, money does buy you metaltelin. And that's the answer of Rav Nachman. Very good. Let's review. So according to Rav Nachman, we're talking here about an exception to the rule. Our Mishnah talks about an exception to the rule where money does buy metaltelin. When is that case? When does that case apply? That case is true when you have a debt, you have an old debt from the seller to the buyer. Says the buyer, I want to buy. Hey, why should we? Let's cut corners. Let's cut to the chase. I want to buy your 10,000 shekels fancy, I don't know, rug, I don't know, Persian rug, carpet, yeah? And you owe me 10,000, remember, from 2 years ago? Wow, that's a deal. So let's just do that, yeah? In other words, stay with your money, and I'll get your rug. The rug belongs to the buyer right away without Mashiach. Metaltelin, just kesef without Mashiach? Yes, because it's not the normal run-of-the-mill case. So Chazal were not goizer, and Chazal left things as the army doraisa. In the doraisa, money does buy metaltelin. That's the answer. That's the answer. So therefore, Rav Nachman is forced to think like Rabbi Yochanan. Correct the Gemara. Well, you can ask questions when we get to the Mishnah. Okay, soon, question time. Well, Rish Lakish. What did Rish Lakish say? Rish Lakish argued, as he does many times, with Rabbi Yochanan. And what did he say? The Omar Meshicha Mufreshes Min HaTorah. Rish Lakish has a different reason, a different source, I would say, to the fact that metaltelin are not nikne bekesef, but only Meshicha, because Meshicha is written in the Torah. Rish Lakish, the way he learned, where is it written in the Torah that metaltelin are nikne with Meshicha? Oikona miyada mitecha. Remember? Yeah, the pasuk at the end of Vayikra and Bahar B'chukoisar is around there. It says, yeah, oikona miyad amitecha. When you buy from the hand, you pull in with the hand from your fellow Jew. That's why. How is Tim McKenzie koine metaltelin? Tim, you don't Tim McKenzie. Come on. How is it koine metaltelin? With kesef, not with meshicha, because it says mi'adam itecha, from your friend, your fellow Jew. Jews from each other are koine b'meshicha, yeah, and not b'kesef. But goyim they're koine b'kesef. That's a side point. And now, according to Rish Lakish, it's not the takona d'Rabbanan. That's the Torah. According to Rish Lakish, there's no other way about it. According to Rish Lakish, you obviously cannot give that answer, right? That answer that you have a unique kind of sale out of the way, and that's why here Chazal were not goizer. Rish Lakish, okay, according to Rish Lakish, that doesn't work. Why? Because according to Rish Lakish, it's Midoraisa. Midoraisa. You can't change the Torah. The Doraisa says that really Mashiach is the only way and not money. Money is not koine, only Mashiach. Okay, so Rish Lakish doesn't have to agree with Rav Nachman, and that's exactly the point. If how does Rish Lakish explain our Mishnah? How is Rish Lakish going to say? Yeah, Rish Lakish definitely cannot explain our Mishnah the same way as we just explained it now. Because what did we say in our Mishnah? The new explanation of the Mishnah is that Kinyan Kesef in this extraordinary case is koine. Rish Lakish, no way. Kinyan Kesef never ever works for metaltelin. So how would Rish Lakish explain our Mishnah? Back to what we said before yesterday. If he believes the krav sheshes domo peros avdi chalipin betalz krav sheshes, very good. If Rish Lakish believes that peros are good enough as a chalipin item, you don't need a shoe. You can use fruit, vegetables, frozen meat, and fish as your metaltelin item. You would say that's pshat in the Mishnah. The Mishnah didn't talk about money or shove of the money. No, spoke of the metaltelin like krav sheshes. Very good. But if Rish Lakish thinks like Rav Nachman that Paris do not work for Chalipin, you need a kli like the shoe, umatbea loikani, and money never ever 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 is koine metaltelin, and money also cannot be Chalipin. How can Rish Lakish explain the Mishnah, right? How can Rish Lakish explain the Mishnah? There's no other way. If you say, right, if you believe it's Paris and you think like Rav Nachman, Paris are not good for Chalipin, the Mishnah can't talk about Chalipin. If it's about Kinyan Kesef, brave, Chas v'sholem. Rish Lakish doesn't think Kinyan Kesef work anywhere. Answers the Gemara, clearly, Al Kocha Krav Sheshes V'olei. Very easy. As we said before, clearly, Rish Lakish is forced to believe like Rav Sheshes. The what? That this is Kinyan metaltelin. He thinks like Rav Sheshes. He follows Rav Sheshes' opinion that says that metaltelin is not only a kli, it's also peros. He believes that peros create chalipin, and our Mishnah talks about chalipin, of chalipin peros, and that's very good. Yes, okay, I can summarize, but maybe first your questions. Questions are welcome now before we start the new Mishnah. There's the Heilige Mishnah. This is the final Mishnah in this parak of Kiddushin, which is a very, very long parak. It's not the last Mishnah in the parak. It's a last Mishnah that discusses kinyonim clearly. As far as I remember, this is the last one that discusses transactions. The Mishnah following this one is about mitzvahs, aseh and lot aseh, men and women. Says the Mishnah. The Mishnah talks about Hekdesh. So now you tell me, please, when a regular person wants to be koine metaltelin, how's he koine metaltelin? Awkward silence. Meshicha, agma, mesira, stuff like that. When you want to be koine karka, what's the tail? Anybody koine karka? Chazoke, kesef, shtar, all good. Hekdesh is a different business, which means before we start the Mishnah, I'm going to tell you already now, Hekdesh, yeah, the person in charge of Hekdesh, the Gizbar, in English it's called the treasurer of Hekdesh, is a busy man. Sometimes Hekdesh, meaning the coffers of Beis HaMikdash, they sometimes have to sell, sometimes they have to buy, right? For example, Beis HaMikdash has a very, very nice jug made out of plastic. I don't think you can use it for korbanos, and even in the Kohanim's coffee room, they don't want it. I don't know, because it's green. I'm joking. So now what? So now what do you do with the jug? The Hekdesh guy, the Gizbar, he needs to sell it and get cash. Oh, with this cash, you can buy korbanos, can buy stuff. Yeah, very good. Korbanos usually from other money. He uses the money. That's what he sells. When does he need to buy? He urgently needs to buy. Every year, he needs to buy a lot of animals for korbanos, as well as other things. Yeah, Okay, he has a lot of cash now. Yeah, from all the 13 pushkas in Beis Hamikdash, each one shaped like a horn. And now he has cash. He needs to buy the korbanos, the daily korbanos. Yeah, the Talmid. Yeah, Shachar ben Abayim, the Musaf of Shabbos. Very nice. Okay. Now the way Hekdesh is koine is different to the way Hediot. Hediot doesn't mean an idiot. Hediot means a regular person. We're all Hediot. Hediot and Hekdesh are two separate entities. So whatever happens by Hediot is not necessarily what happens. The forms, the ways of Kinyan by Hekdesh are different to those of regular people. That's just a general introduction. Okay? Says the Mishnah. Reshus HaGavoha B'Kesef. The Reshus of the Gavoya. Gavoya means Hekdesh of the high one, of a Kadosh Baruch Hu. It's Kivyachol Kadosh Baruch Hu's money. The Reshus of the Gavoya B'Kesef. In other words, already a surprise. When it comes to Hekdesh, money does buy. Money does create an acquisition, a Kinyan, even of metaltelin by Hekdesh. Everything we said about metaltelin not being nikne bekesef is very nice when you go to Osher and. But when it's Beis Hamikdash, it's different, and money does buy stuff for the Hekdesh. The Shusa Hediot b'chazoko Hediot, the regular guy, regular Joe Flokes, us regular people. There, the Hediot acquires b'chazoko, says Rashi Meshicha, if it's metaltelin. Chazoko means Meshicha. Interesting. Rashi says that here the word chazoko is Meshicha. And in Karka, chazoko means chazoko. And the Mishnah comes with the final statement, Amirosa legavo k'msirosa lehediot. As we're going to see in the Gemara, yeah, let me ask you a question. Let's say, I know you know the answer. Yeah, Amirosa legavo. When a person says, this cow of mine is for Hekdesh, is the cow now Hekdesh's? Yes. Hare zula oilo, hare olai oilo. Absolutely. By verbalizing it, stating it, in 1/2 second, I didn't touch the animal, no Mashiach, no Chazok, nobody did anything to the animal. It's the same lamb, let's say, frolicking in my backyard, and I said, this lamb is for Korban, for Hekdesh. In 1/2 second, it belongs to Hekdesh with about 1.5 million nefkaminas. What about if I tell you, you know, Yosef, such a nice guy, Yosef, your house, in my house is yours. Is my house yours? You'd like to. Sadly, no. Just because I said, and I sound very serious, my house is yours now. No Kinyan, no Chazaka. Is my house is? Yes or no? I'm asking you. No. Oh, something special by Hekdesh, the Amira alone is Kimisirasa Lahediot. Yeah? If I gave you, let's say, my car, I need to do a Mesira. You do the Mesira over the car keys, yeah? Or do you have to do Meshicha of the car to drive it a little bit? If I say my car is yours, it's not yours. But if I say my car is Hekdesh, it is Hekdesh. The verbalizing only works for Hekdesh, not for us regular mortals. Says the Heilige Gemure. How is it that the Reshus HaGavoha, the Kinyan of Gavoha, works for Kesef? Says the Gemara, Gizbar Shenosan Mois Bebehema. A Gizbar gave money for an animal. The Gizbar, the treasurer, wants to buy an animal because it needs korbanos, yeah? He gave money to the animal's merchant, to the sheep shepherd, to the merchant. Afilu behema besoifa oilam kono. Ooh, he's buying here in Yerushalayim, and the sheep are still in Australia. There are lots of sheep over there, you know? So now the sheep is in Australia, and I gave you money. And I did not do Mashicha. If this was Hediot, no way. By Hekdesh, it is koine. By Hekdesh, money is koine. Why? We're going to see the posuk later. In the next daf, we're going to see the source. Now, behediot lokona shem shoch. As everybody knows, if the same story happens to Hediot, I gave you 2,000 shekels for your sheep. Where's the sheep? Over there. I didn't touch it, didn't see, didn't do Mashicha. It's not a Kinyan. Everyone can still be choizer, maybe Mishapara, but Lamaisa, it's not a Kinyan. It's not a done deal. It's not yet set in stone. How do you actualize the last part of the Mishnah that talk, Amira, statement, verbalizing Gavoa is like giving to a Hediot? Ha'omer says the following brisa. Ha'omer show ze oilo. Oh, you see that? A person said, show ze oilo. I have a bull walking around my backyard in the cow shed. This shore is the oilo. That's all I did. No Mashicha from the Gizbar didn't come to pull it or do Masira. Bais ze Hekdesh. Yeah, this house of mine is Hekdesh. Yeah, afilu b'sofa oilam kono. Wow, afilu b'sofa oilam. You realize what's going on here? Afilu b'sofa oilam. What's afilu b'sofa oilam? What does it mean? Afilu. What does it mean? Translate it for me, please. What's afilu b'sofa oilam? Even, which means, let's say you're in Eretz Israel, your house is in where? New Zealand, yeah? And I say my house in New Zealand belongs to Hekdesh. It belongs to Hekdesh in literally half a second. Wow. Shia. So now that's a Kiddush. But that's a Kiddush of Torah when the Torah tells me, yeah, once you say, it's already Hekdesh. The Hedyot. Masha'enken, if I say to you, my car belongs to you and my house belongs to you, Lokono ad sheimshoch v'yachzik. Yimshoch, says Rashi, b'shor, v'yachzik b'bayis. Okay? Yimshoch b'shor, v'yachzik b'bayis. Full stop. Ad kan, hakofa aleph, that's very clear. Yeah, but Hekdesh is verbalizing. So how can Hekdesh be koine? There are two ways Hekdesh has already an advantage over us regular mortals. One, kesef is koine. You gave money, it does the trick. And also verbalizing alone, Hekdesh is a kneder, like, yeah, it's like kneder, it's like things like that. Once you makdish, belongs to Hekdesh without any further ado. Before we continue, I want to, now we're going to continue to other nafkaminis and differences between Hekdesh and the regular guy. Before we continue, I want to give you a cute example which came up to my mind. I keep telling you all the time, what's Kinyan? Kinyan is when everything is point of no return, set in stone. Let's look at the very, very interesting example. Now, I'm not saying it really applies nowadays, because nowadays, unfortunately, we're mushpa by the Western world, and Kinyan is with money. But really, if you really want to work Lefi Halacha, yeah, let's say you have a friend who's an owner of a supermarket, a mini market, yeah, and let's say he decides, I want to go with Halacha, the way it's supposed to be originally, and I want all my customers to be koine. How are you koine all the yogurts and the milk and the cereal and the washing powder? Agba. Yeah, Agba. Oh, no, you don't. No, no, Mashiach, because it's, no, Hagba is better than Mashiach. Remember the Ritva? Yeah. Yeah, but even before, well, Hagba already is Kohen. Even before your card, the card is like the Chotzer. Yeah, taking off the shelf. So halachically, if you, I just want to give you examples because it will make it much easier for you later to, I'm not going to give you Chiddush, I just make it, bring it to life. Hagba, once you Magbia the yogurt, let's say the yogurt is now an expensive one, 8 shekel, nice with the fruit, with the YOLO, yeah. 8 shekels yogurt, you want to spoil yourself for Shabbos, 8 shekels yogurt, and what? You pick it up, it's yours. What does it mean it's yours? Let's imagine the following story. Let's say you're going to a very, very large, very big supermarket. Some of them in Eretz Yisrael, in America, in Panama, was once in Panama, they're a very, very big supermarket. Yeah, it's the biggest in the world outside the US and Israel. So let's say it takes a long way from the dairy section all the way to the cashier, okay? And many things can happen on the way. What do I mean? You pick up that yogurt, okay? No, it doesn't. No. That's another question. That's not the case. No. You picked up the yogurt, 8 shekels worth, okay, and now it's yours. Okay, it's 8 shekels on your long way, a whole, I don't know, kilometer and a half. And then what happens? You're listening to the news. Of course, you have to hear the news all the time. I'm joking. Then what? You hear, oh, yogurt prices in the country, in Israel, well, yeah, now they went higher. It's 9 shekels yogurt. Yeah. Now you go to the cashier and she tells you 9 shekels, please. What? It's 8 shekels. Who's right? She says, no, meanwhile, it went higher, it went 9. Do you have to give her 8 or 9? 8. Why? Because the time of Agbo is when it's set in stone. In other words, when I was koine, it's mine. I was koine, and it says 8 shekels in the yogurt. I'm giving you a halacha l'maaseh here. It means that the Agbo was done with the promise that it's 8 shekels. Now it became more expensive. That's too late for them. It became expensive after it's in my domain. It's kilo in my house. Mimela, I will pay her only 8. What about the other way around? What about if it's 8 shekels? I'm doing Agbo with all the kavonas, Hagbe, on the yogurt. And what? And it's 8 shekels, as I said. All of a sudden, on your long way to the cashier, what do you hear? You hear, special in the loudspeaker system of the supermarket, special mivtza miyuchad, special sale, all the yogurts instead of 8 are 7. You go to the cashier and say, hey, 7, Israeli. Hey. You are wrong. Why? When he acquired it, it was 8. Now it became 7, too late. It's yours already. In other words, when I say set in stone, I'm trying to say that the price is a price that's fixed and will remain like that forever by the time of the Kinyan, which here happens to be Hagbo, and it applies to Hagbo, Mshicha Mesira. The price stays the way it is, and nobody can go back on that, neither you or the supermarket owner, because that's it. The price is fixed by the time of Hagbo, because that's the time of Kinyan. Very nice. Oh, now the same things with Mshicha Mesira, everything. Zok the Heilig. Now we're going to see what happens with Hekdesh. Nishta Zoi Poshut. Now we're going to have 4 different variations. Very easy. Case number 1. Mishachoy bemone, veloy speak lifdoiso achomot b'masayim. You are now, there is an item of Hekdesh. The Hekdesh is now buying from, excuse me, the Hediot is buying an item from the Hekdesh. The Hekdesh has a computer. They don't need computers in Beis HaMikdash anymore. Now he's selling you who? The Hekdesh is selling the regular guy, and that's they decided, money, I'm selling you this for 100. I'm selling you this old computer, $100, and that was Meshicha, meaning there was Meshicha of the item. He did not yet pay him, and all of a sudden prices went up, and it's now 200. You get the story? It was Moishich an item of metaltelin, and then the price went up twice as much as they agreed. All of a sudden, the market of computers, second-hand computers, went up. It's 200. So now, how much would you give? Noisen Mosayim. Wow. You have to give him 200. Why? As opposed to the supermarket case, which we care about, Agbor Mashicha, by Hekdesh, you coin it with money. As I said before, since money wasn't yet given, nothing happened. In other words, in our case of the supermarket, if we decide that until I give money to the cashier, the yogurt is not mine, then I will only have to give her 7 or 9 in the first case, right? In other words, if it's not a done deal until money is given, then until money is given, I have to give more. Nois and Mosayim. Now you have to give higher price. Why, my timer? Why is money the crucial point? I promised you, I'll tell you the source. That's the source. If you want to keep the deal, there's a question if they can change the deal. That's a different story. But Lamaisa, now Hekdesh can say, listen, now, if the money went up, I want a higher price, because as long as money wasn't given, nothing is finished, nothing's not set in stone, because Hekdesh is going with money. If so, what would be in the opposite case? Let's say the guy who's acquiring from Hekdesh is pulling the second-hand computer from the hands of the Gizba, and he's a willing partner. We pulled it and we decided 200. We're setting a price on 200, and there was Meshicha. And the regular guy did not yet pay. He didn't get chance yet to pay the 200. I'm going to gain. It went down instead of 2. It went down to 100. Like in a loudspeaker system, it was going down. Then what? I would say, wait, let me gain. I'm now the regular guy. Now I would say, excuse me. Now it went down before I paid. You said that the payment is the crucial point. So if it was 200, now 100, as long as they didn't pay, it changes up until the last point of payment. So let me pay 100. Nois and Mosayim. So that, we're changing our skin all of a sudden. He has to give 200 like the Meshicha. Says the Gemara, my time, why is that? How is Hekdesh playing games with us? It's not fair. Because when it suits Hekdesh, we say money is a Kinyan. When it suits Hekdesh, then Meshicha is a Kinyan. Because why? Lo yekoch hediot chomer mehekdesh. Yes, it's unfair. Thank you. In other words, we don't want hediot to be chomer. We don't want hediot to be more important and more severe and more gaining more than Hekdesh. In other words, when it comes to hediot and there was Meshicha, right? Let's say what I decided, like the yogurt case. I bought the yogurt with Meshicha or Gbo for 8. Now it went down to 7. I don't care, says the cashier. You did the Kinyan, it was expensive. Now it went half price. 4, pay me 8. Because Meshicha and Agbo is a Kinyan. By Hekdesh, if it works for the benefit of Hekdesh, then we say that Meshicha is what works for Hekdesh. Why? It's not fair. Life is unfair. Because we want Hekdesh to always gain. Because Hekdesh is Hekdesh. Hekdesh belongs to Hashem. We want Beis HaMikdash to have money. You and I, that's one thing. But we want Hekdesh not to be degraded and be less than a Hediot. A Hedit in that case would gain by saying, hey, we set the expensive price at the beginning. I want to stay with the expensive price, and you'd be right. Hekdesh, although Hekdesh is coined with money, it does not exclude Mashiach completely, because in case Hekdesh would lose from Kinyan Kesef, because the Kesef went down, down, down before you paid the money, then Hekdesh also has reserves the rights to follow Mashiach at the beginning and ask for the more expensive price of the original Mashiach. These are the first two cases. Now the other way around. Now the other way around. Now we are talking about, I prefer to get to the Mishnah, okay? Not urgent? Yeah. Okay. It's besides the point. Could be he's doing someone else's. That's only with the person himself, not everyone. If you appointed someone else's, then you don't have to pay choimes. What happened up until now? We saw what happens when first there was Mashiach and then there was payment. What about the other way around? What about the following two cases are the opposite? There was money given first, and then something happened, and then Mashiach. The other way around. First of all, Mr. Buyer from Hekdesh, pointed from Hekdesh, he paid 200 up front. There was no Mashiach, he went down. How much would you pay? No, he said Mosaim. Yeah, you give 200. Why? In other words, you stay with the 200. You don't say, hey, now it's cheaper, now it's cheaper. You can't say that my time, that's the easy one. Since when you gave the 200, you know I said the wrong words. I shouldn't have said upfront. It's not upfront. I talk like a hediot. But by Hekdesh, that's a payment. When you gave 200, that's like a goy. Funnily enough, goy and Hekdesh are similar in one thing, and that is the money is koine. Yeah, money is koine. You gave me 200, that's a deal. Done deal. Now it's cheaper? Too late, sorry. That's clear. That's Hekdesh. Hekdesh is koine with kesef. What about the fourth case? Now we're going to say an exception to the rule. Doi bemone, you gave 100. We decided that the item is worth 100. You gave Hekdesh 100 for the item that is selling you. And then, before there was Mashiach, before you pulled it to bring it to your domain, it went up in price. Oh, now I would say, hey, Hekdesh is always right. Hekdesh always should be the winner. Give him 200. The Gemara is now surprising us, and out of 4 cases, that's a one case that Hekdesh is like losing. Mashapodo podui, no, you stay with 100. Wow, you gave 100, you stay with 100, and what now? You went up to 200, and you didn't do the Mashiach. We still stay with the 100, relying on Kinyan Kesef only, even though Hekdesh is now on the losing side. Abai, why, says the Gemara? Why don't we say the same concept over here? Why don't we apply the same concept over here? That Hediot should never be better than Hekdesh. We don't want Hekdesh to ever be below, inferior to regular people. We don't want regular people to be superior to Hekdesh. So here also, because how do regular people buy? With Mashiach. So let's say there was 100 given, yeah, prepayment, and here I do mean prepayment, between 2 regular Jews, and there wasn't yet Mashiach. Of course, they can demand another 100. There wasn't Mashiach yet. So why don't you say that Hekdesh should benefit from the good sides of Hekdesh, of Hediot? Says the Gemara, Atu Hediot la b'mishapora koi. Here comes Mr. Mishapora. Remember Mishapora? What's Mishapora? Mishapora means as follows. When somebody gave money and they decided on a price, you decided on a price was decided, money was given. Let's use my example. I want to sell you my car. You can, you drive yourself to the Shiur with my car. I'm selling you my car for, 100,000 shekels. You gave me 100,000 shekels. So everyone else, I don't know, the car is not yours yet. No, it's not set in stone. It's not a deal because there's no Mashiach, no Masira, not even Hagba, Superman. You can't be Makbia the car. So now, however, if I want to return and say, I don't feel like selling you the car. You 100,000, my neighbor wants to buy it for 120,000. Meikradina can do it. However, you can tell me, Mr. Teichtal, you should come with me to BSD, and BSD Chas v'Shalom would give me a curse, Chalila, that Mishapora Midora Mabul Mudora Palogo. Mabul and Palogo were not nice people. They were dishonest with their business. Whoever was Poreh and punished them shall punish the one that does not stand by his word. Yeah, that does not, doesn't keep his word. And then I can go back. And if I'm a cold-hearted Litvak, now it's saying, okay, I don't mind getting the klala. Fine. Then I can cancel the deal. Fine. But the Maisa, there is Mishapoa. What does it have to do with us? You're asking me, hey, why isn't Hekdesh, once money was given to Hekdesh, lower amount of money, and then the money went up, the price went up. Why do we get stuck on the old money and we say that Hekdesh can't demand another 100? Because by Hediyat, although it's Me'ikar din allowed, but it's still a very, very heavy klol on the guy who does that. If I demand, hey, Yosef, give me now another 100, I know we spoke about 100 with Adim and everything. I want 120. There was no Mashiach. If I do that, I get a curse, Khalila. Therefore, it's not so glatt, not so gleich, that I can actually do such a thing even as a Hediyat. And since Hediotos usually care about Mishapora, so Hediotos, once money was given, they do not go back on their word unless they don't care about the Klola. Mimela, at that point, Hekdesh doesn't have to be worried. And Hekdesh also, if Hekdesh was koina with 100, it's 100. I later went up in price. Mitzad Hekdesh, it's a done deal. Hekdesh is going to be kesef. He worried Hekdesh shouldn't be less than Hediyot. It's not less than Hediyot. Hediotos, who are normal people, they also stay with a decided price, even though the price goes higher, don't really practically dare to change the Kinyan because of the klala. Mazel tov, mazel tov, mazel tov. We came to a milestone. We're about to start a whole new Mishnah. Questions are welcome now if you want about the previous topic of Hekdesh. If not, we can use the next 10 minutes for the new topic of mitzvos, shazman, gromo, kibud av, all kinds of interesting cases. Continue. Zuk the heilige Mishnah. Call mitzvahs ben ala av, all mitzvahs of the son over the father. I'm on purpose not explaining what it means because the Gemara will explain. Let me just tell you in general. I'll tell you in general now. The Mishnah is about to tell us that some mitzvahs are obligations of the father towards his son. What are your obligations towards your children? To buy them fancy computers, the fancy room, to take them to Disneyland every year. No, I'm joking. Don't look. What? Works to, not by that order, if you don't mind. I would say Torah, work and swimming. Very nice. In other words, a father has to prepare his son for life, and above all, to teach him Torah, the chulei. And there are some obligations. Today, it's not so much in fashion. We know there's a mitzvah called kibud avim. Yeah, in today's modern psychology, it's not so mekubal. But there is a mitzvah of children towards their parents to be mechabed the parents, right? So these are the two mitzvahs we talk about here, the relationship between fathers and son, the commitment of the father towards his son, commitment of the son towards his father. I'm saying son. What about daughter? What about mother? That exactly is the question. Where are women in that story of that mutual obligation? Says the Mishnah, Kol mitzvahs ben ala av, the mitzvahs of the son over the father. The Gemara will explain what that means. Anoshim chayavin v'noshim turos. Men are obligated in those mitzvahs towards the son, and women are exempt, as we're going to explain. The chol mitzvahs av ala ben, mitzvahs of the father over his son, the other way around, the other direction. Echad anoshim ve'echad noshim chayavin. Yeah. In other words, mitzvah towards the father, to the father, both male and female are both obligated are committed. The chol continues the Mishnah, famous line. The chol mitzvahs esesh azman groma anoshim chayovin v'noshim turos. A mitzvah say a positive commandment that has man groma, that is created by time. Only specific times are what causes the mitzvah to come about. Only men are chayiv and noshim are potter. Give me an example, please. What? Prayer is not a good example. It's a good question. The Gemara in Brochas Daf, I think, Chov says that although it's mitzvah says shazman groma to daven, but the Gemara says women are chayiv to daven because they need life. You don't have life without davening, so it would have been right for the heavens to be, lulav, sukkah, tzitzis, tefillin. Yeah, they're not chayiv. Even shofar, meikar din, they're not chayiv. They're very, very near shofar. Meikar din shofar is not so. You meikar din. V'chule, women are not chayiv, and we're going to see the source in our Gemara. The whole mitzvahs to say shelo zman groma, mitzvahs to say they're not created by time, such as believing in Hashem, fearing Hashem. It's not as man groma, right? They're not created by time. Echad anoshim, echad anoshim chayovin. Men and women equally are chayiv in the regular mitzvahs to say. Okay, v'chol mitzvahs lo yisaseh, a mitzvahs lo yisaseh, a negative commandment, a prohibition. Ben shazman gromo, ben shalazman gromo, echad anoshim chayovin. Is the woman allowed to smoke a cigarette on Shabbos? Besides the fact that it's unhealthy, it's as man gromo. It's only on Shabbos. So why is she also for to smoke a cigarette or to, I don't know, turn on the washing machine? Because it's mitzvahs. What? Lo ta'aseh. Because mitzvahs lo ta'aseh. Lo ta'aseh. Because the mitzvah lo ta'aseh, negative commandment of both men and women. And by the way, why do women have to eat a Shabbos meal? It's a mitzvah says to Shazman Goma. It's a mitzvah to say to enjoy Shabbos, right? So why do women have to enjoy Shabbos? Mukash, Zochor, L'Shomor. The negative and positive are compared to each other. Chutz, there's one mitzvah lo ta'aseh, actually three of them, excuse me. There are three prohibitions that don't apply to women. Wow. Chutz mi bal takif, ubal tashchis, ubal titam elemesim. Which means, bal takif, as you know, even if you don't use the mamish ta'al, yeah, you're not allowed to be makif over here. You're not allowed to create that haircut of basically cutting the peyos. I once gave a whole shmuz about it. Yeah, in other words, I'm not sure why it's done in Haredi places. Isur Doraisa Mefurash, very interesting. A modern Haredi, I don't know. But Lamais, it's Mefurasha Isur Doraisa. There are a few Isur. It's a severe Isur to be makif to cut those parts, the peyos, the sideburns. It's called, I think. Yeah, sideburns. You can cut them very close. Yeah, for a man, a woman is allowed. Can a man, create an entire, look like a pumpkin? Can a man look like a watermelon and have his entire, like a skinhead, lo leinu? You're not allowed to if you're a man. A woman is allowed to. And that's what Satmar Hasidim do. So, Hungarian Hasidim, after they get married, the women, they shave their heads completely. They have a minhag with three reasons for that. So a woman is allowed to do Bal Takif, even if a woman does it to a man. Some say it's okay. That's another discussion. Ubal Tashchis, yeah, Bal Tashchis, are you allowed to take razor and cut your beard? Obviously, the hair of the beard, yeah. You can't, shavers, you have to be careful. Some shavers are kosher, some are not. That's not the topic right now. You have to know which shaver to use. That's another shaila. If a woman has a beard, the women sometimes there's some extra hair, a facial hair that they want to get rid of. No problem. She can cut it whichever way she wants. Waxing is a different story. But even if she mamish cuts with tar, she cuts mamish with the razor. It's allowed for a woman. No bad feelings. Who's not allowed to be in contact? It's not really true contact with the dead. Who's not allowed to be nit metumesim? Who is not allowed to become impure and tome by touching or being in the same oil with the mace? A kohen. What about a kohenes? She's a wife of a kohen, and many halachos apply to her. She eats truma, she eats kochim kalim, so she's a kohenes. She's chashuv. Can she go to the lavaya of her best friend from school? Yes. It says Bnei Aaron and not Bnei Aaron. In Pashas Emor, when he talks about it, it says the sons of Aaron. Now the girls, a Kohenis can go to a daughter, a wife of Kohen. They can go to Besa Kvaros, to the yard site of whoever they want, yeah, because there's no problem for women. So these three things are the exception. Other than that, women, all the loita say apply to women as well. Frek de heilige Gemure, my kol mitzvah saben ala'av. Exactly what did the Mishnah mean when it said mitzvahs of the son over the father or towards the father? What's it telling me? Ilema, if you want to tell me, kol mitzvahs de mechayev boro leme'abed le'aba. Now we're getting clear. If you mean to say all the mitzvahs that a son is mechuyev to do to the father, I'm using very simple language, meaning in simple English, kibud avim. That's English words, yeah. Respecting, honoring your parents involves many actions, right? Yeah, you clothe him, you feed him, you get up for him. All these things you're telling me, noshim pturos. Is that what the Mishnah said when it said the women are exempt from that? It's not true. B'atanya, it says the famous line in Parshas Kedoshim, Ish, what does it say? Ish imoy ve'oviv tiro v'shapsosei tishmoiru. A man should fear his parents. And ish, okay, maybe a man, just a man, is mechuyev to respect the parents. but a teenage girl or we're going to see a difference between married and non-married. But in general now, any girl who's chayiv b'mitzvahs, is she chayiv in kibud avaim? Maybe not. It says ish, not a woman. Ish minayin. How do you know? Shu omer ish ima ve'aviv tirau. Tirau is plural. You plural, you guys, you people, all of you should fear your parents. Harekan shnayim. We have two people, meaning two genders, two types of people. Both genders have to really respect the parents and fear of the parents. We will discuss later, in Daf Lamed, we're going to see that there's a difference, Lamed Lamed Aleph, that a married woman may have a different status, but that's not the issue right now. Conceptually, a girl is not married. Her chiyuv towards her parents to take them and drive them and help them is equal whether it's a boy or a girl. So what is the Mishnah talking about? So what does the Mishnah mean? The Mishnah is telling me something about father and son and only applies to male, not female. Vosidos. Omer Yehuda Hachik Omer. This is what Mishnah says. Kol mitzvah zeben hamutolois al ha'av lasois libnoi. Any mitzvah that is mechuyev, the father has that obligation to do towards his son. It's a father's obligation towards his son. Anoshim chayavin v'noshim pturois. We're going to see more sources tomorrow, but the concept is only the father has to educate his son and not the mother. And I'm telling you, this is a lochal lemaisa. In the Shabbos, it says about towards the end of not to educate the daughters. No, the mother is not mechuyev to educate her son. It's Mogan Avram, and a few Meforshim Shulchan Aruch say the whole education is the chiyuv on the father and not the mother. And that's what the Mishnah is telling me. Tanina leho, as we see in the Brisa, the Tono Rabbanon, ha'av, the father is mechuyev to do what? Ha'av chayav bibnoi, the father is obligated towards his son, lemuloi, to have bris milah. Let's say the father says, no, I don't have koach to deal with bris milah. Let Beis Din deal with it. Let my shviger should do it. No, the father has an obligation to be mal his son. And by the way, some avrechim, it's more and more in fashion nowadays, they do the milah themselves. The moel does everything, it's up to the actual cutting. They want to do mitzvah b'yadayim, mitzvah bo yosim b'shlucha. Scary. So they do, the moel tells them exactly how to cut, they do the final cutting. I'm not saying that's a chiyuv, but the obligation in general, the project manager of the milah, making sure the son is gimaled, is nimol, is the father's. Velif doisoy, pidin ben. Yeah, he's a month old and it's not cesarean and nobody's a corner Levi. First son, firstborn, mamish first, nobody before him. Who's mechuyev to do pidin ben exactly? The tate, v'lalamdei Torah. It goes by stages to teach him Torah. That's a lifelong mission. He mechuyev to teach your children Torah. Ovus abanim, v'lasiya isha. To make sure that he gets married in order to continue the prurvu. He has to make sure to find a shidduch for the boy, also for the girl. The Gemara says in Sanhedrin, in Subas. But right now we're talking about a son, could be also daughter. You have mechuyev to make sure your son is mekam his mitzvah or prurvu. A girl is no chiv prurvu, but there's another reason. A man has a son, he's already 18, that's old, yeah? And what? Now the son has to get married. The father has to make sure that help him get married. And to teach him a profession. He also has to teach him a profession. We're going to discuss that soon, tomorrow, I mean. And some say, as you said, also to teach him how to swim. Because in case he will be in a boat and basically the boat is going to be the second Titanic and there aren't enough lifeboats, the son has to know how to swim. I don't think they helped them in the Titanic, but yeah, in case such a hazard happens, the son, they say nowadays, by the way, the teaching your child road safety is that. You have to teach your child how to be safe in the street in many ways. And Rabbi Yehuda says, we're going to discuss it tomorrow, Kol shenem lamed is bnoi umnus, lamdu listus. Whoever doesn't teach his son profession, teaches him how to be a thief, how to be a robber, a highwayman. Did he actually teach him how to be a robber? He told him take the gun and hide and how to deal with the police. Didn't teach him anything. If the son is no profession whatsoever, or he's not marrying a woman who has a profession that can mefarnes him, is no source of parnasa whatsoever. B'chlal, he didn't register in the koilel that gives him stipend. He has no money whatsoever. The father did not prepare him to life in any short, any way. Then he kilu taught him to be a thief, and all that will be discussed more in the more Be'ezus Hashem. So tomorrow is bris milah lemuloi. Remember, tomorrow, the Muloi, tomorrow. I'm sure there are many brisim tomorrow in Klal Yisrael. Thank you, everybody here. Thank you to our amazing Zoom people. Wow, 4 of you in the Zoom, 3. And then thank you to the Torah Anytime and YouTube participants. Hatzlacha uvrocha, peace on Klal Yisrael, and the war should finish quickly. Shiur coming.